Hello and welcome to Columbus Local Podcast. I'm Len D'Amico, and this is episode 33 with the legendary drummer, John Homan. John, thank you so much for coming. It's great to see you, man.
Thank you, Len. Thank you.
It's all good. It's all good to see you, and it's really a blast to see what I know of as, I think, your main project right now with Columbus local music scene as the drummer for Clubber Lang.
Clubber Lang.
And how's that going? How do you feel about Clubber?
Oh, gosh. Well, great band, great guys, great. I love our diversity and our set list. And, I'm just playing with monster players, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. Fans have been great, friends that come out and support us. Been together for about 2 years now, and we've played a lot of the rooms that we set out to play, and everything's gone really well. What can I say? It's been great.
And it's really only been with Clubber Lang about a year and a half. Is that accurate?
That would be accurate. Yeah. I mean, I think we started some rehearsals about this time 2 years ago, and then finally brought Seth in and worked up a set. And I think we played our first show the summer of, what would that be, 22? Yeah.
Yeah.
So about a year and a half, we've actually been out playing.
Yeah. And you can just tell you guys are having a blast. It's a fun show, man.
Thanks.
And I know that it's like one of the icings on the cake, I think, for each of you. It at least seems, because each of you have your own just amazing story in music. And so in your case, feeling all that at this point, the sky's the limit for what's going on there.
Well, I hope so. We're having a lot of fun with it, and I know that there's no intention of stopping anytime soon. So we hope to only go upward and onward. We want to play a few more festivals and keep, doing that in the summer. And playing the same rooms that we've been playing here, maybe branch out a little bit, but we love playing some of these clubs here in Columbus. A lot of them, too many to name. But being a Marysville guy, I'll name Leon's, and
for sure.
Of course,
they're doing a great job.
They really are, and it's only going to get better.
Yep.
Yeah,
you know it.
I do. I know. I think that things are starting to change over there, and I think that Jeremy from The Groove, he's booking a lot of the talent in there now, and he's going to shake things up a little bit. And we've secured some dates in there for next year, and he's got a lot of plans for that place. So be watching out for Leon's. So.
Oh, we will.
And then, of course, the infamous Benny's. You ever seen a pizza place like that in your life? Just banging every weekend, Friday and Saturday night.
Well, that patio's like standing room.
It's crazy. I've never seen anything like a pizza place, draw people like that place does. But, that's fun. We set out to play, Lazy Chameleon and, Turtle Creek and, all those great Columbus clubs. And we've been fortunate enough to play them. And they keep inviting us back, so we'll keep doing that.
Yes, you will. And we're going to love coming out to see you play, man. It's good stuff.
You guys came out to the show to El Dorado's last weekend, and it's a small little place. It's been around for a while, and, it's just one of those cool places, and we didn't know how well we would go over in there, but...
It was packed. You guys packed that joint, and it was very cozy, but it was a real rock show, you know, and it was... the vibe was very cool, and it's a musician's venue, right? There's a lot of folks that kind of come in and out of there, and it's somewhat of, I think, a rite of passage, because they don't bring just anybody in there. You guys fit the bill. That's for sure.
Cool to be a part of that club. So we went in there and had a good audience, and we had, of course, new songs to lay on people, and the response was great, and we loved it. It was good to see you and Beth there, and a few other friends and stuff, and making new friends.
So. Oh, sure, yeah, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everybody's so friendly, in Clubber Lang and out there, smiling, and in between sets, you're not ducking into the bar, right? You're like, hanging out with the people, and laughing and joking and appreciating what's happening, and that's really cool because you guys are kind of each individually and also as a band kind of a big deal, I think. I mean, just your story in particular, we're going to learn a little bit more about. But each of you have just a phenomenal journey that
absolutely
that have brought you to this this cover band project, and you're just having fun with it. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great mix of cast of characters.
Yes, it is. And you're the drummer, right? So where did music start for you, John?
Okay, so I grew up. I was born in Bellefontaine, Ohio, and to my great parents, Gary and Barbara Homan. I have a younger brother named Justin, and he's 5 years younger than me. But our house was always filled with music. My dad was a big music lover, had a big vinyl collection. So to hear the Beatles and Zeppelin and Hendrix and the Stones and the Allman Brothers and all that stuff, that was just normal for me growing up. Up in my room is where the Kiss concerts happened. That was like my thing. But music has just always been such a big part of my existence. It's just always resonated with me, and I've always loved it, gravitated towards it, and because I was listening to such great music from my mom and dad, I didn't really have much of a chance not to, it be a part of me.
Right.
Like Molly and I were talking on the way down here, and she was talking about, like first playing the drums, and how like I had it figured out before I even really sat down behind a drum set. I had seen it be done. I understood how the pedals worked, and the hi-hats went up and down when you did this, So when I would listen to music then, I was kind of like working out the mechanics in my head, before I'd ever actually
down
even
drum,
tried
on
it.
the drum line itself. You were like right in the pocket already.
I knew what they were doing,
Wow.
just listening to the records, So, my cousin, I kind of come from a musical family, not my immediate family, but on my mom's side, my grandpa and all of his brothers all played music. They were all honky tonkers. They played country, and they all played a different instrument, and they were all brothers, so they were all jamming together all the time. So I probably get it, a little bit inherently from that. But my cousin Dean Latimer, had a drum set, and I sat there and watched him play it. And I was about 11 years old, and he went out and jumped in the pool, and I just grabbed the needle and put the record on, and I started doing it, And he came back and he's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just doing what you were doing." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm left-handed. Let's move this thing around. You're right-handed." So he'd move the hi-hats over, and I could do it, like the very first time I tried.
Either way.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. That's
But
awesome.
then when I moved over to the right hand, it was like, oh yeah, this makes way more sense.
How old were you then?
I was probably about 11, 12.
Wow, man.
But I didn't get my first drum set like I can remember my mom coming down and my cousin going, you should see this, and me going, hey, I really want to do this, but I'm still young. I'm playing baseball and hanging out with my friends and having imaginary Kiss concerts up in my room where I'm Paul Stanley. I'm not thinking about playing the drums.
Yeah,
But
Peter Criss in mind was the front man.
oh yeah, And then eventually I moved to Marysville. So we lived in West Virginia for like 3 years when I was young. And I moved to Marysville and I met a bunch of really cool guys, Mark Lamb, Dave Sawyer. And, Mark could play the guitar in the 6th grade. He could like play the guitar. And he was like, hey, I heard you can play the drums. And I was like, well, I've played the drums, but I don't know if I can play the drums. I don't have a drum set. And he was like, well, why don't you come out to my house and we'll see what you got, So his mom gets with my mom. We get a little permission slip for me to ride the bus with him. And I go out to his house. And
He had a kit.
He had a little Sears Galaxy 2000 kit, but it had a real snare drum because he had tried to play snare drum, I think, in the marching band, and it didn't take. So it had a real snare drum. And we jammed.
Yeah.
And I think that I was as surprised as he was, and he was as surprised as I was. I was like, hey, I thought I could do this, but I really can't do this. So
this discovery is at what age then?
That would have been about 13.
Okay.
And then I was like, hey, Mom, Dad, I want my own drum set. And I got one.
Yeah.
So at 13.
Wow.
So playing in, and we started a band, and we got a couple of guys together, and we played all through high school, and eventually we start playing with guys that are in their 20s that are out of high school, because Mark and I were both
getting good.
We really were, we were pretty accomplished for just being, teenagers. And so we did that, and then, if you want me to continue on about my journey,
absolutely, man.
I graduated from school and I went down to, campus and went to school at Ohio State and lived down there and met a few players and stuff like that, but I wasn't really doing anything. I eventually ended up getting in a cover band with some guys up around the Marysville, Ohio area, Don Colley and Mark Walters, and I still love those guys. We, jammed and put a cover band together called Poor Boy, and we played in Columbus. And this was really like my first exposure to playing in Columbus. I was like 18, 19. I was probably about 19 years old. And then from that, I got contacted by an old friend who had a band called Alcazar. Chris said, hey, I'd known the guy like my whole life. He was one of the guys in his 20s when I was a teenager that I would jam with, and he's just an awesome guitar player and stuff. So I'm really like,
Chris S. Is that
Chris Debrel?
Yeah. I know the name. He wouldn't know me from Adam. But.
Yeah, great player. Yeah. And he says, hey man, I'm putting the this another version of this band together, and it's going to be instrumental, and I've got this amazing bass player named Carl Gunther, and things are really happening. And I'm like, okay. So we get together, and sure enough, things are really happening. And when he said amazing bass player, he wasn't kidding. I don't know if you know Carl Gunther or not, but he's just an amazing
His name
musician.
precedes his delivery. Yes.
First time I'd ever seen someone play a 6-string bass like that. He's playing the, like keyboard parts. He's playing the left hand, with this hand. He's playing the right hand part, up on the neck, and like Stanley Jordan style and stuff. I'm like, wow. But this was like a side project for him. He was in another band that was just killing in Columbus called Saddleback Shark.
Okay.
And I knew that. And, when I was in Alcazar, we played some great shows, man. We played some full houses at the Alrosa, just because we were like always opening for these nationals that would come through town. So we would just open for them, but, big crowds nonetheless, and, it would garner some attention, that way. And I loved it too because, the headliner would be behind you. So I got to play like right up close to the crowd, and that interaction.
Get the energy.
And I just love that. I love being close to the crowd. So we did all of that, and we actually played with Dream Theater, opened for them right when they were on their rise on the Images and Words tour, and that's still one of my all-time greatest memories of looking over to my left and seeing Mike Portnoy and John Petrucci high-five each other as we're banging through this Al Di Meola epic, thing, and we're all just nailing our parts and stuff. That was pretty amazing, I was about 21 or 22
Yeah.
years old at the time.
No doubt, man. Wow, what a memory.
It really was. So that band kind of fell apart, and then I had gone to see Saddleback, and they were just dominating. This was like post Gods, Rosie, this new generation of bands in Columbus were like playing the Alrosa, like Saddleback and Tamerlane and Shock 2 and all those bands. And I saw Saddleback, and I was like, man, these guys are really fantastic. Singers, funny and engaging, and looks great. And this guitar player over there is just an absolute wizard.
No doubt.
And Carl's doing his thing, and I thought, boy, I'd love to be in a band like this. I'd love to be in this band.
Right. This exact band.
Yeah. I'm not trying to push anyone out of their chair ever, but so Carl and I were buds, and he was kind of crashing at my pad for a while, and we decided when I left Alcazar that he and I were going to put something together. So we rented some rehearsal space, and we went down and we're jamming and stuff. And after about an hour, we were kind of out of ideas, and it was like, well, what are we going to do? But I had picked up that Saddleback Shark cassette tape and kind of had the wherewithal to maybe like learn. I think I learned like the whole first side of it. So when we ran out of ideas, I'm like, well, hey, Carl, why don't we try a couple of these Saddleback songs? He's like, yeah, you know that? I'm like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So we banged through the first one. He's like, yeah, that was really good. I'm like, let's play the next one. He's like, you know that one too? I'm like, yeah. So we banged through that one. It's pretty good. By the third song, he's like, hold on a second. We're running outside, and he puts a quarter in the payphone, and he calls up Rob Johnson and says, hey, you need to come down here right now. You need to drop what you're doing
out
and come down. And we jammed. And by the time we were done, Rob...
New lineup?
The singer, Drew, wasn't even there. So Drew, Rob and Carl were just like, hey, you're the new drummer.
Wow.
It's just like
just
that.
happened.
Just they made the decision without the front man, Drew, the almighty Drew Collins. So, they kind of, Drew was not exactly welcoming to me at that time. For one thing, the drummer and he were roommates. They were roommates, and they were dating twin sisters. So this was a tough sell for Rob and Carl, But basically, they said, "Look, we're gonna disband if this guy doesn't come in." They really were in my camp. And Drew was like, "Well, I'll come out and see him." And I can still remember him rolling down the rehearsal studio on his Harley, single headlight, hair blowing, tassels.
Wow, dude.
Just total rock star. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And, everybody had told me, have you met Drew yet? This should be good. And he gave me a nod, didn't even say hello, and went inside. And they hashed it all out for about 15 minutes. And then they came out and said, okay, let's do this. And that band happened.
Wow.
And those were some of the best days of my 20s, absolutely.
Oh, how could it not be?
I mean, that's when I met Rob, and from there, we played all around, but Rob and I just established this connection, like right away. We'd both been cut from the same cloth, Racer X, and all the Shrapnel guys, and all of that. We were fine. He was finally working with a drummer that spoke his language.
Yeah, you guys. Well, it's that chemistry thing, right? That just, boom, it was electric.
It really was.
Yeah.
And, that band had a good run. I think I was in that band from 94 to about 97 or 98. And in that time, Rob and I, Rob actually said, I'm doing an original band and I want you to be a part of it. And David Chastain is involved and he's going to put us in touch with the singer. And we ended up doing the Magnitude 9 thing.
Right.
And that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for Saddleback. And things were changing in all of our lives. And, bands have a shelf life.
Yep.
And we had been together for, a good run. And then Rob and I recorded that record, and I think Rob paid for the whole thing, which was basically studio time for drum tracks, and some maybe a vocal track. But he was recording all the stuff at home, he's all over it, and banged that record out pretty quickly and got a record deal. And about the time we were doing the second record, Rob and Mandy, Pandy, Crandy, Flandy, were starting their family. You know, they were married at this point, and the kids were part of the picture and stuff. And that was my cue. I was like, well, it's time for me to make a change, you know. And I'm playing with the best players in Columbus at the time.
Yep.
So that's when I packed it all up and moved to Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah. And the second album, the drums were recorded and the guitar parts were done. There were a few parts that weren't done. But when I moved out to California, I was fortunate enough to move in with a guy named Jeff Coleman. And if you don't know who Jeff Coleman is, you need to educate yourself, because he's not only a great guy, but he's one of the most talented guys in the world. I mean, his guitar playing is amazing. His ear is this big. He's a producer. He can do it all. I learned a lot from Jeff. But he ended up producing that second record, and it's my favorite of the three. Actually, it sounds really, really good. I was glad that he did it, and there's some really good songs on there. And then from there, I was out there about 6 months, and one of my heroes from my high school days, Paul Shortino from Rough Cut, was playing in LA. And I'd met him before. We had actually hung out and, kind of spent an evening together, just drinking and telling stories and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, man. But when I moved out to LA...
Yeah, he was in a couple of national acts, wasn't he?
Well, he was the only other singer for Quiet Riot.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. And, that was... Music was changing at the time, but, I mean, as far as vocalist goes, he's the best of the Quiet Riot singers, in my opinion. Yeah. I know a lot of people like Dubrow, but I'm a Shortino guy. I loved Rough Cut, man. I saw them guys. I saw Rough Cut open for Dio in 1985, and he in particular just blew my mind. Yeah. His voice. So I saw that he was playing, and I went to see him. And after the show, he was like, "Hey, I know you're that dude from Ohio." I'm like, "Yes, I am." So we swapped numbers. I'm like, "Yeah, I just moved out here," and we swapped numbers, and we got together and hung out a few times, and I played him some of the stuff I had done, and so he knew that I could play.
Right.
I wasn't just some fanboy. And he called me up one day and said, "I'm putting Rough Cut back together, and we're going to audition drummers, and you should come down." I'm like, "Well, I already know the stuff, so let's go." And I get down there, and it's Jimmy Crespo on guitar from, played with Aerosmith and Rod Stewart, and it's Sean McNabb from Great White and Quiet Riot, and
how were you feeling when you were in that environment with those cats, man? I mean, that's just
scary.
It was scary.
A little bit, because
the unknown, the level,
and you're in the big city now,
level, man. The location, all that, man.
All of it, and it's not just about knowing your part. It's like, are you going to fit well with the guys in the band, or the are your personalities going to, be cool with each other and all that stuff? So it ended up working out. All those guys were really, really cool, and they liked what I was throwing down. So I get the schedule for the next rehearsal, and I'm in the band. And I'm like,
sweet.
Wow. And, that really, really helped me, man, because, that year we went to the NAMM convention. And all these years I'd been, just writing letters and constantly, asking, Sabian cymbals, please give me a low-level endorsement, and ProMark drumsticks, please give me an endorsement, because I'm just burning through cymbals and sticks like crazy, playing, especially in the Saddleback days. And you just never would get a response. They're busy with guys like Neil Peart and Phil Collins and Vinnie Paul and Mike Portnoy. They don't care about you. But went to that NAMM convention, and Paul made all those introductions for me.
Wow.
I went to the Sabian booth. He knew exactly who to talk to. My rep, Laura Bennett. Next thing I know, I'm talking with her, and she and I hit it off. And she's like, "Well, what kind of drumsticks do you play? And do you have a deal?" And I play ProMark, and no, I don't. And she walks me across the hall. We go over and see the guy at ProMark, and I'm like, "I've written you like 20 letters."
And here you are.
And
what can we do?
Like a week later, I got the contract in the mail.
So awesome,
so
man.
I was like, this is
what you want to do.
Yeah, things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
yeah, and then I did that and did some touring with them, and I played with some other guys out there. My buddy Ronnie Borchert, I was in a band called Amsterdam with him, and he has a band called Miss Crazy now, and he's also plays in a band called Freak Show with Carlos Cavaggio, and Frankie Banali actually used to sit on drums on that, and now it's Stet Howland, who's a great drummer, and so I was doing all that, and then, I came back to Ohio. Like the record was almost done, the Rough Cut record, and I, had met someone and decided I was getting, just things weren't moving fast enough and stuff. Even though I'd recorded an album at Steve Vai's studio and had all these, good deals and the gigs were good and all of that. I kind of pulled the plug a little early, to be really honest, but came back to Ohio and then took a break.
Yeah. So you came back to Ohio because your family was here?
They're still here. Yeah, okay. They were still here, and it was like
kind of home. It was like a safe haven kind of thing.
It was like, let's get out of Los Angeles and start a family. I was going to start a family, which I did.
Yeah.
And I was married for a short while and had a son in that marriage, and that didn't end up working out, but I took about a 3-year break during that. Cut all my hair off and kind of said, why have this hair and all of that? You were in Los Angeles and now you're living back in Ohio. It's like, I think it's maybe time to set this on the shelf for a while. So I did, and then when that ended up not working out around 2006 or so, I kind of got back out on the scene, and that's when I met all these great Columbus musicians.
So how'd you meet these guys? Did you knew some of these guys, or did you just kind of meet them?
So many.
Because a lot of those guys are still out there.
Yeah, I knew Matt Bradley from back in the day, Pruden. Those guys had been kicking butt for a long time, from back when I was in Alcazar and Saddleback. Those guys were in Long Gone and killing it. I knew Michael Wharton, from back in the day, another, good drummer from here in town. And I knew Matt Bradley, I said. But MySpace was the thing. Facebook wasn't even out yet.
Right.
Yeah. And I put my bio up on MySpace, and it wasn't out for like one day, and I got hit by the Nefarious You guys.
Oh, cool.
And Johnny V, and Seth and Michael Caine and all them guys. And
had you known them prior to?
No.
Okay.
This was a
Homan.
Online dating thing.
Homan. Oh yeah, musicians.
It's swingingmusicians.com.
Six dudes at the same time, man.
Right.
I get it. And then he's gone.
So I knew the drummer that was getting ready to leave the band. He and I knew each other through a few different ways, but I stepped right into that, and those guys were a lot of fun. John Van Meter, Johnny V, he's one of my closest friends. I love that guy.
Man.
And Seth was singing. And, what can I say about Seth? Just loved him.
He's a beautiful human being.
I just love him, yeah.
He's beautiful.
Yeah.
He is.
So I joined that band, and then that band fell apart. Its shelf life died, and then Todd and V and I started Blue Cuda. Or no, that's not right. Those guys started Blue Cuda with Dan Snodgrass and invited me out after things weren't kind of going in the way that they wanted them to.
With Nefarious?
This was early Blue Cuda.
Okay.
They had a different drummer, and they were like, boy, I'd love to get John in here, And I had some different ideas. I was playing in an 80s hair tribute band where I wore a wig, and no one knew who I was, and I was just having fun with that, killing with that. And then that fizzled, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I think Todd even told the story the first night I went over, and I was using like my drum cases as drums and stuff, man. But I tell you what, when I got to that rehearsal and I heard those guys play and Dan Snodgrass sing, and we were doing songs, I was like, I knew within 3 songs,
it's going to be
I need to be in this band.
It's going to be a good band. Yeah.
And it was. And then Snotty, Dan Snodgrass, affectionately known as Snotty, he moved on. And we kind of had some bumps along the way, finding the right guy to replace him. And then eventually we got Tim Workman, who sang for Blue Cuda, who's a good friend of mine. And with him came Matt Bradley, because they were in a band together.
Oh, wow.
So we went to, now all of a sudden we're a 2-guitar band, and it just happens to have one of the better guitar players in town in it, so that didn't suck.
No.
So that band went, and then it fizzled. And at that point, I was getting pretty sick of playing covers. I was
but Blue Cuda really, like, I talked to Todd a little bit about it. I wasn't playing then, but I was out. I was at On the Rocks, checking out the rock, and you guys were playing Slapsy Max, like all the, there was a little different venue for rock music, but I always thought Blue Cuda like owned the scene. Okay, like did you feel that way?
No.
And I'm nobody, man. I'm just, I'm enjoying what's going on. But that's funny to hear you say that.
No, I mean, I knew I was playing with, good guys, and we were playing good rooms and stuff, and the set list was good and stuff like that. But no, I mean, there was always somebody doing better.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't mean to slight anyone. I always thought Blue Cuda just had it. It was good stuff.
A lot of fun in that band.
Yeah.
We had a nice long run too.
Yeah. But it ran its course, obviously.
We had to finally take that down to the railroad tracks, put a bullet in its head.
So who pulled the trigger? Do you know? Or we're not going to talk about that. And that was a long time ago.
I don't really remember.
Just kind of conversation.
Well, what happened is Photobomb happened.
Right.
And we tried to do 2 bands at once, one with Tim and one with Brad Moore, and it just didn't end up working. And in retrospect, I don't know if that was the right thing for any of us at the time, because, Brad is just a one-man machine.
Yep.
He doesn't need a band, even though his band Lost Boys is killer, and those are all my guys. I love those guys.
I haven't seen them yet.
No, they're awesome.
It's Buckeye Lake mostly, though.
I know, yeah.
It's hard for me to sometimes get out there.
It's tough for me to get down there, too. Rob and I have both made the journey down there to see them a few times, but they're fantastic. And Brad's a one-man band, and he just happens to be surrounded by some of Columbus's, best players. So it's it's destined to be great, and it is. You should go see it.
Oh, yeah.
But that band played for 1 year exactly. Our first gig was on New Year's Eve, and we went 1 year, and then our last gig was on New Year's Eve in the same room. It was some club up in Delaware, Ohio, and then that lasted 1 year, and it was over. So, to end Blue Cuda's run, to play, for 1 year, I don't know, sometimes I'm a little... I don't know if that was the right move or not, but man, that's the way it happened.
That's what happened.
That's what happened.
That's the story.
That's the story.
And we're sticking to it.
Yeah. And then V and Todd Bettler and I, who, we've played so many shows together, and I love those guys so much, man. They're great players. Johnny's a great guitar player, and his backup vocals are awesome.
So easy, man. He's
so cool.
Toddler,
that guy, he just, there's nothing that I would ask Todd to do that he couldn't do and wasn't willing to do or try.
Right.
Like no ego.
Team player.
Just a team player, man. And just, we had a lot of fun playing together and working out that Black Rose Bloom album that we did, which was after that, which is us three and Dave Scheidemann on vocals. And, man, we put that together and showcased it. And I think we might have only played one live show, and then that thing fizzles, so it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it rolls and sometimes it just doesn't get off the ground. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really proud of that record and the songs that we wrote and stuff, especially since V and I, especially Johnny V, spent a lot of time producing that record, and man, V really went to work on it. Learned Pro Tools. on the fly. He's a smart guy. So thanks to YouTube tutorials and his own, intelligence, we got that record done.
That's cool though.
But it brings me to today, and the clubber today is you can talk about the old days. I was telling Molly this on the way down. Great times in Saddleback, and Magnitude 9 and all those bands, 20, 25 years ago. I mean, Rob and I have been making music together now for 25, close to 30 years, I think. We did the Saddleback album. We did 3 Magnitude 9 records together. I make an appearance on all of his solo albums. We've done some stuff together, and he's my brother.
Blood brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's an absolute wizard. It's just amazing. Soloing, just he's playing a different instrument than most people are.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that statement.
Yeah. And then
he's amazing. Yeah.
And then, I kept bugging him to come over because he lives like 8 minutes from me. And I'm like, Rob, get over here, man. So I finally get him over to my place, and he's like, well, this is fun and everything, but we need a bass player. Rob's, very particular. It's like, we need low end, man. It's not fun without it. Okay. And I was like, I can bring Todd Bettler in on this, but me and Todd and V had our own recording thing going on, and I didn't want to mix worlds. I didn't want to leave Johnny V out. So it was like, why don't you bring in the bass player? And he had a neighbor, Rob Carter, and he said, hey man, this guy's, pretty good. And man, within like one rehearsal, I'm like, okay, this is our guy. He's playing a 5-string bass. He's singing backup vocals. He's just owning the role of the bass player, locking in with me. He's like just creeping back so he can see my kick drum foot, making sure he's on top of it.
Smooth.
He's so cool.
He's cool. He is cool.
Yeah. And it's like, hey man, we need a singer. And I'm like, well, I'm going through my Rolodex, And it's like, well, I might know a guy. Because Seth had been pretty much retired. He'd pretty much been out of this picture.
We haven't seen Seth in a while. Since which band? I mean,
like Nefarious. Well, no, he went out and did the Irish Car Bombs right. With Johnny V, and those guys did their own thing. I don't know what I was doing during all that, but those guys were really good. I'd go out and see them. They were killing it, but then after that, he was just not really doing anything.
Life.
And, it was like, hey, man, you want to come out and try, He's like, oh, yeah, sure. And, again, it was like, I don't know, maybe 2 jams, and Rob's calling me up on his way home going, I really like that guy, man. He's super cool and chill, and he's really good. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. And Seth is just, he's got so much style, and he's genuine. It's real. It's all real.
Yeah, he's as real as a person can be.
Yeah. And, the only thing he's not a natural singer. He'll tell you that. Like, the guy works, to make sure he's got like an app, and he's constantly listening to himself and making sure that he's not, pitchy and stuff. Some people can just wake up in the morning and sing like a bird.
Yeah.
Seth, he works at it, but then his stage presence and his persona and all that, that's all real. That's all just him.
He's feeling everything going on around him. I mean, sure empath, off the chart for him, for sure. He feels everything going on.
For sure, yeah. And I can dig that, man, because I kind of feel the same way when I'm back there playing. Like it's coming out of me,
Yeah, you're definitely, feeding off energy where you are, and delivering that from whatever else you got going on in your head and your body. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah, thanks. I realized at a young age that no matter how tricky the drum part that you're doing is, the average person that's in the audience has no idea what you're doing, has no idea that it's hard or anything like that. So when I was coming up in the 80s and watching guys like, Tommy Lee and Robert Sweet and all those guys, that's when I put the mirror in front of my drum set and was like, hey, I'm going to figure out this
how
twirl,
to twirl
and
dude,
toss and
dude. I watch you toss high, right? And you're not skipping a beat. The stick's coming down, it's hitting your hand, and you're hitting it, and then your other hand goes, and your stick's touching your back. And you still got your shit going. And then, I mean, it's sort of Tommy Lee-esque, but it's you.
Oh,
right?
thank you, man.
And it's very entertaining.
Thank you.
Like a lot of folks will come out, they'll see the guitar player, they're paying attention. And I love to see Rob Johnson playing guitar. And I love, to see Clubber Lang as an example. I mean, there's a lot going on there. But you in particular as a drummer, I mean, come on. It's very, very cool. Very cool to see that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm feeling it for sure.
You are.
I've had drumsticks in my hands a lot over the last 40 years, so the twirling thing and all of that. But, I've just got a good natural sense of meter, which it just, again, allows you. If the part's easy to play, why not make it look interesting and make it engaging with the audience so that the average person can go, oh, wow, look at the drummer.
Checking out the drummer.
Yeah, look who's checking out the drummer.
I'm checking out the drummer, dude. I'm telling you, I do. It's like,
if somebody goes home that night and goes, man, did you see that drummer? It's like, cool.
Yeah, you did your job.
I mean, I just want to be.
But you're having fun.
I am having fun. Yeah. And I want to be a guy that other musicians want to play with. That's really what it's about for me. Like, as far as like the other musicians go, like I want to be, a guy that they can count on. They'll have fun. They can call and they know that it's going to work. But as far as like the non-musicians go, you got to keep their interest too. And that's where the showmanship thing. I just kind of always thought that was important as a young age, and just kind of incorporated that. And some people dig it. You're digging it, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, I do dig it.
So hopefully people dig that, and the band, the band, our diverse set list, and I just hope people come out and see Clubber.
When you were conceptualizing Clubber Lang, when you were describing that earlier, and you reached out to Rob, did you have a set list or like a vein of material in mind from the get-go?
We did. We did not want to play the songs that everybody else was playing, even though we knew that they were gold. Like, we didn't want to play. And I'm not saying that bands that play these songs are, look, don't get me wrong, but if there's every band in town is playing Sweet Child of Mine, then we did not want to play Sweet Child of Mine. We wanted to pick a different song that had that same vibe or something like that, So, that was pretty much the goal, to like kind of play songs, So when we first got together, we were doing tunes like Big Log by Robert Plant, Abacab by Genesis, and it's like, man, nobody wants to hear these songs.
I do.
So we made a few changes.
I love those two songs you just named.
Yeah, so do I. Oh, and we were just nail them, we were all like, I think one of the earliest songs that we did was Band on the Run, and I think that's the one that really sold Seth. Was like, these guys are going to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And
it differentiates you from whatever else is going on out there, and you guys have the skills to execute whatever you want.
Thank you.
Whatever you want. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. That's what we're shooting for. We just want to be something different and be proficient, but also convey this era of a party and a good time. You know? I mean, if you want to go sit on your hands and watch great players, then you go to a jazz club and watch that. You go to see a rock band. You want
to rock out.
You want to rock out a little bit. Yeah.
Shots.
Why not?
I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
have a good time.
Very rock and roll.
Yeah. And some of that was, from your roots.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, doing some of those cover bands. You had the same energy, same attitude, same,
Yeah, I bring a certain
launching pad of entertainment and rock and roll. I mean,
I like playing. I play hard. I mean it. I feel it. It's coming from deep within. I'm not. I'm not pulling any punches, and I don't want to overplay the part or anything like that. But that's when if you don't want to get busy on the drums, and that's where a nice twirl comes in, or grab drink your beer while you're playing or something like that. Just that was funny. That's cool. Like the average person sees that and goes, "That was fun. That was cool. I've never seen a guy do that before."
Right.
So
That's awesome, man.
yeah, we're loving it, man. I hope everybody comes out and sees Clubber this weekend and every weekend that we're playing. Check out our site and our Facebook page, and I think we're playing Bull Shots this weekend. We've never been down there. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be a good time.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of regulars at that particular venue that will definitely get a dose.
Well, we've never been down there, so I hope
it's a good time, man. It's just a good time. I mean, if you like rock music with the differentiating factor that you described, I mean, that's a great band to go see on Friday night.
And shameless self-promotion, but I think that
we'll
we have
links.
a really good band.
We'll put links in your episode,
Cool.
so anyone listening is interested in Clever Lang will get links so they can get the schedule and
Absolutely.
blast out the promotional aspect of what you guys have coming up.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's 40 years
Yep.
of playing, so it's been.
Yeah, for pretty much all you guys in the band, and it's good to see you having a great time, and it's high quality experience.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we thank you. We're not trying to blow anyone's head off or anything. We just really want everybody to come out and have a good time. I mean, Rob. You want to see Rob? Sure, he's got 3 solo albums, and 3.
His fan base.
We don't need to do that.
His
anymore.
fan base is Japan and Germany and Europe, and
All over.
he's global. I mean,
All over.
This is his first cover band in his life, I think, and I think he's just having a great time.
He sure is, and it's. I would have never. Who would have thunk it?
Well, kudos to you for roping him in, right? and tickling his fancy for live performance again.
Yeah. It's great to be on stage again with him. I think about all that history. I mean, I maybe have logged more hours on stage with maybe other people. I've done a ton of gigs with Matt Bradley, Gil Graham, who I failed to mention earlier in the Saddleback conversation, but logged a lot of hours with him. But Rob and I have created a lot of music together, and I think it's pretty good. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, kudos to you for sure, partner. Great stuff. John Homan, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your musical adventures, your background, your inspirations. You were a born drummer.
Well,
and you're still honing your craft, and it's a lot of fun to see you do it, man.
Well, thanks, man. I'm still, I'm a rock guy. There's a lot of styles I need to sharpen up on and all that stuff. But I'm having a lot of fun playing in Clubber Lang, and I hope it continues. And I don't know. I mean, I just I'm 50. How old am I, Molly? 53 years old. Hopefully, I can play at this level and intensity. For I don't know 20 more years. Is that possible?
I would looking at you and what you do and your energy level, I would say absolutely yes.
Well, hey, I hope so. Yeah, because I would love to. Hopefully, injuries won't be the thing that stops me. Because man, after a show, I'm compression sleeves and ice and all of that stuff. It's a physical
Plays
instrument.
a toll.
It's a physical instrument. When you play rock drums, yeah, it takes its toll on you physically. It sure does.
Well, hang in there, and Tylenol and ibuprofen and Aleve. rotate those things. They work different organs. You don't want to wear out your liver. You don't want to wear out your kidneys. You just got to rotate those pain relievers.
I need you to write me some
Take
scripts.
it easy. It's all good, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is episode number 33 on Columbus Local Podcast, where we talk with the giants among us, one of which tonight, John Homan. Thank you so much for making the time tonight. You brought Molly. It was great to hang out with the two of you this evening. We had Megabeth with us, at least the front girl of Megabeth. But
So awesome.
she was traveling. She came in, but really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Len. And I think what you're doing here is just a great thing for Columbus, Columbus music, and just Columbus in general. And I can't wait to see who else you get in here. And I'm looking forward to future podcasts.
I'm booked through March of next year.
Oh, see, look at you
They
go.
just keep coming, and it's good. And I think it's great because it really is a place where you can go listen to folks that you may not have known,
Yeah.
or who's out there, or who you don't typically get a chance to go see and listen to where their inspirations are and how long they've been playing and what their story is. And it's really, I think, it serve a number of purposes.
Yeah,
It does draw attention to Columbus, Ohio's music scene in a positive way.
And it deserves it,
and it's
'cause there's
fun.
so many great bands here in town.
There
more than
are.
that I can name. So many great players, and you don't get that in every metropolis around here. I'm sorry, but Columbus is different. So thankful for that.
Yeah, and we're fortunate to have you pounding out there with Clever Lane currently. So we appreciate that.
Thank you, Len.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap up episode 33. So thanks for listening. Have a great night. Bye-bye.